Hey, it's Sean Zinn, the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doctor. This is live number 30 on the year, and I am tweaking it today. And I have a good friend of mine that we're going to drop some knowledge. We want to educate more people in reference to the home buying process. So I have a phenomenal agent that we're going to bring on, and we're going to have a conversation for a half hour. If you guys have questions that you want to have answers for in the home buying segment, let us know. Drop a comment and we'll have future lives that we will give the answers to these questions. And we want to make sure that those that are watching, you implement, you take action. If you're a renter, you become a homeowner in 60 days, 90 days, a year, whatever it is, as long as you make a commitment that you want to be consistent and make that happen by using some of the skills, the strategies, the tools that we share with you today. So let me bring on my guest, Jason Levine. What's going on, my friend?
What's up, Sean, the Connection Machine? How are you? Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it as usual.
This is awesome. I appreciate you taking some time out. I know a lot of people they're busy, and it's funny, they say they're busy, but we're only going to use 30 minutes out of our day, and we just time blocked it. We're like, listen, let's make it happen. Let's educate, because I believe this is a very powerful tool, is using social media to educate others.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Time blocking is super important because as realtors, as insurance agents, as dads, as husbands, we're super busy. And if you don't time block it in, it doesn't actually come to fruition. So glad to take this half hour and drop some knowledge for everybody out there. And thank you again, Sean, for having me.
And I want to make sure those that are watching, please hit the share button. Don't just watch us and not engage us. At least hit the thumbs up, hit the love button, drop a comment. If you're nervous about using social media, just say, where are you watching us from? And if you're a renter, let's help. We're definitely really focused on you. We want to help you. And just so you all know, we're utilizing social media, and we're going to use Facebook for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to drop out of Facebook, and we're going to be only on YouTube, and you're going to see some future snippets of what we talk about. But if you're not a subscriber, go to youtube.com/C/Connection Machine. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, because I do lives every single week. And you're going to see us live every 2 weeks, right? I think that might be a good standard for us to kind of educate others, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we'll do is we'll continue to bring value to people. We'll bring on some other guests, some other people, drop some more knowledge, really get the experience of many different people out there in the industry. Again, all to bring more value to the people that we're talking to.
Because I believe it's so important to own a property. I've rented before. I've rented for a couple years, but when you own a property, that's where I found that it's more pride involved. I have a home, come to my house, and it's going to be a little bit more quieter. If I had an apartment, I talk about, we had Christmas tradition, and we used to get everyone to come over our apartment. It was a small 2-bedroom apartment, and we had about probably 25 or 30 people in that space. It was cramped, it was tiny, but hey, we still did it. But now having people at the house, I believe, is so much more fun. It's more relaxing. It's, people can park on the street, not like miles and miles away. I found it's so important to have a house.
Yeah, I'll say this, Sean, and I agree with everything that you just said there. For us and for 194 and for Team Levine, it's about legacy. It's about family. Home is not just where you live. It's where you really feel comfortable. We always say, we're helping people find their place. And, your place doesn't, your home doesn't just mean where you live. It's where you feel comfortable. So listen, renting might be the right option for some, and that's great. And we can help you with that too. But right now, with the interest rates being so low, and the amount of people out there looking to buy, and it's tough for a buyer, for sure. It's great because the rates are so low and your affordability goes way up when the rates are that low. Unfortunately, the inventory is also still low, and there's a lot of competition. So today we'll talk about, how that competition looks, what that competition looks like rather, and what you can do to be ahead of that competition. And you're going to get it from my perspective, Sean's perspective, not only from the perspective of someone who deals with buyers, but someone who deals with a lot of listings. So we're seeing what's working because it's coming to us, and we're able to see what our clients are most receptive to. So that helps us, gives us insight on when we're going out there with our buyers, what the sellers are looking for and what it is that they're looking to say yes to. Because it's not just about how great your buyers might be. You have to really pay attention in all sales transactions, what the person is looking to say yes to, because otherwise we're just throwing benefits at the wall and hoping they stick. And a lot of times they don't.
You said a lot of great things there, man. And talking about renters, maybe you might not want to have a primary home. And a lot of mindset changes today. A lot of millennials are all about, I'll rent, but I'm going to buy an investment property. That's another mindset to really focus on as well. That's what we're going to talk about too, because yeah, you could be a renter, but you also could be a landlord and you have maybe 2 multifamily properties. And that's a really smart way of going, because now if you either rent and do that, or you actually live in a multifamily, you're actually having abilities to earn a lot more wealth over the course of time. Is there risk involved? Sure, there's risk involved with everything, but I found that real estate is the place to be. And it's, I believe, the safest. Yes, there's bubbles, there's things that go up and down, but if you're not going to be moving, you have nothing to worry about. My wife and I worry, like we think about right now, like, wow, we can actually sell our property right now, but then where do you go? That's a question that people have too. And I'm like, listen, I would go back to renting and then find something, but that's just a whole other conversation because
yeah. I mean, listen, we've had some clients, I want to say, especially those ready to retire, maybe ready to move down the shore, maybe down to Florida. And what they've decided to do is, even though they're not ready yet, is they've decided to sell because the market's so hot and the value of their home is really higher than it's almost pretty much higher than it's ever been, and may even be higher than it ever will be, or at least in the next 7 years when we go through these cycles, is to rent for a year. And then when the market starts to go trend down, if the trends are correct, and what we see is, by the end of maybe next year, we start to see this trend go down, or by next summer, that's when maybe you take advantage of the market and then go buy because you've made some money from the sale. But again, you're right. That's a conversation definitely for another day. Today, I want to focus on for what you can do to get ahead of the game when you are out there buying, and what are some tips and tricks. So.
And if you're on Facebook right now, either on my personal page, Jay's, or in the group, make sure you go to the YouTube channel so you can follow along live with us. And if you have questions, definitely drop comments while we're doing our live, because we want to educate. It's all about making sure that you guys are learning from what we're talking about. And I love, I talk about this a lot. A lot of people will not take action. They learn things, they go to webinars. What is something that you usually hear from your buyers of why they are not going to buy today?
So a really big issue out there, I think, is we're in such a seller's market that the buyers are expecting to go into a bidding war. The buyers are expecting prices to go above what the asking is. So what's happening is, as a listing agent, if you're not listing the property correctly, you're actually doing a disservice to your seller, because what's happening is you're scaring away buyers that are already at the top of their budget. So just a for instance number, if there's a house listed at 500 and in reality market value is more like 475, 450, but because of the fact that we're in this market where, they're listing it higher, what happens is, let's say 500 is the top. And maybe you can get 500, but if someone sees that home at 500, they're thinking now it's going to go for 525, 550, and they're going to stay away from it. When in reality, maybe it wasn't worth even the 5, or maybe it was close to the 500, but it should have been listed around 450, 475. You're seeing things fall apart in appraisals. You're seeing things get relisted potentially for lower prices, which means it most likely fell apart during an appraisal or an inspection issue. So you are seeing those things, but I will say you do have to get creative as a buyer when making these offers, and not creative to not protect yourself. Like I never want to put a buyer in a situation where they feel at risk, but doing things that are smart, that when you have a good mortgage broker, when you have a good real estate attorney, that you have already checked with them and you've come up with a plan. So that's part of what we recommend too, is, a lot of people don't talk to the real estate attorney until we have a deal going. What we recommend is, if you have a trusted real estate attorney, we also have, Sean, you have so many connections as well. We have a few real estate attorneys that we trust greatly. Getting on the phone with them prior to making these offers, talking to the mortgage broker, getting us all in coordination together, that communication is going to allow for a much smoother and frictionless transaction and process. Also, what it's going to do is it's going to present well to the seller. When we get an offer, when my wife and I get an offer in for a property and it's presented well and the attorney's information is on there and the mortgage broker is on there and all the stipulations and everything is outlined and it's detail oriented, that makes a big difference to not only us as selling agents, but listing agents, but also to the client themselves. We can say, hey, listen, this was presented incredibly well. So that is one tip for, really, that's a tip for the real estate agents out there. But that is one thing that we do to help your position is the relationship between the parties in our sale, and the relationship between myself and the other realtor, which is incredibly important, and people overlook that. That relationship is huge. So when you're getting relationship experts, which we consider ourselves relationship experts, that is aiding to your deals getting accepted. And I will say that we don't. I'm not saying every deal gets accepted, because obviously there's things that beyond our control. But I will say that we have a very good track record when getting offers accepted in this market, and I have a lot to do with how we position it and the relationships that we create with the agents moving forward too.
I like that. The relationship expert, you have to have that. You have to communicate. Jay said some really important things. And a lot of people think, oh, my realtor said I have to use this mortgage person, this attorney, this and that. Honestly, guys, you can use whoever you want, and you should be educated before you go into that. And yes, maybe I tell agents all the time, you should have partnerships. You should have somebody you have a go-to, so it will get done. I know a lot of people out there, they throw things against the wall and hope it sticks. In our businesses, we want to make sure we close business. We don't get paid unless you get a closed business. So it's important to have that communication, have those relationships, so that you have, like Jay said, a smooth transition throughout. Yeah. And sellers want to see good, strong fronts. And I liked how Jay said you have to have a good relationship with the other agents. A lot of agents think it's to each his own. We're only by ourselves. It's competition. You are all in the same business. We are all in the same business, and that's all to make sure a buyer or a seller gets what they want, the most for their house, or get that first property or their 30th property. We want them to be successful, but we want to make sure that we all can work together. This is what me and Jay talk about a lot. You live in abundance. We have enough business for everybody, but people have that single mindset. And I know a lot of buyers out there, they don't understand. They think they have to have all this money to put in a contract, for example. Let's talk about contracts. Is there something you should be putting out as far as a first deposit, a second deposit? Is there a third deposit?
So we've seen, in our years in real estate, just over 5 years now, the earnest money deposit is not something we see too often, although it is starting to reemerge itself a little bit because people are just trying to differentiate themselves. And, just so to clarify what that means is basically with the offer, there's also a deposit that's given to the attorney that they're working with in their trust. So it's basically like, hey, here's $1,000, here's $25,000, whatever the number might be. Here's a certain amount of money up front with our offer to show how serious we are. So that is a good strategy going forward now as well, because it shows that you have some of the money in the bank. Now, I will say if you have a lower down payment, putting that earnest money, if you can afford it up front, will help. Because if you only have a $20,000 down payment and you're doing an FHA loan and you're competing against maybe all cash, that's going to be a very difficult sell for the buyer a difficult situation for the seller to accept that. So showing that you have that 20 grand at least liquid right now and it's already put away is a good faith deposit, as they call it. So it does in some situations work. The next deposit is due 10 days after attorney review. So it depends on what you're putting down, and that gets defined within the rider and in the initial contract. But typically we see a down payment 10 days after attorney review approximately, and then we see the balance paid at closing. But what we have seen more recently is some of these good faith deposits coming out first, again, to show good faith, to show that they're very interested. But again, there's more than just the price. In fact, I would say it's all the other terms that are really sealing the deal for people rather than the price, because the price gets ridiculous at some points. So, you could say like the best price, but people are going $100,000 over, but will it appraise? Are you going to destroy us in inspection? So like having solid expectations up front with your offer. So accountability is everything in this business. So I think it translates throughout. As a buyer, you need to be accountable. So if I can show that you're accountable up front and say, this is what we're looking to do, this is what we're looking to negotiate, and this is what we're expecting from you. It's a mutual accountability structure. And now we have less transparency and communication issues. So again, it kind of comes back to the communication piece between the agents, but it's making sure that if you have a solid down payment, making sure that you're splitting it up correctly too, because some people say, all right, I'm going to give you $200,000 down, but it's coming from the sale of my house. I only have $5,000 to put up front. That's not as solid as you would think, because you're putting down a lot of money, but it's contingent on selling another property. So as a renter now, you actually have an advantage. You have no contingencies to sell. So that is one check in your favor that is beneficial, because if people right now, like Sean just said, they're looking to sell their house to get top dollar and they're looking to move somewhere else, now they have a contingency sitting behind them saying, okay, I'm going to move somewhere else, but I have to sell my house, and if I don't, I can't buy yours. And that's uncertainty for the seller.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple friends of mine that they have their home sold and they just don't know where to go. So that's a problem that people have currently in this real estate market. And like Jay said, we're going to have attorneys on. They're going to talk about attorney review. We'll have home inspectors talking about what happens during a home inspection. Those are important key components to the transaction. I know for sure that you should have in your corner. I know there's some differences too. If you're in North Jersey and South Jersey, for example, some people use attorneys in North Jersey and title companies in South Jersey. Why that is, I don't really have an answer for you, but I know that's just what it is, a North and South thing. And it's something that you should be educated on and have those in your corner, because they're very important to have professionals.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Having people that truly understand the process, that understand you, that understand what's at stake, understand where you're looking to be and where you're looking to go is very important. And, you mentioned the abundance mindset before. And, when we talk about scarcity, this result isn't for me.
Yes.
It's for you. It isn't for the other agent. It isn't for the attorney. It's for the people that we're looking to help. We help people find their place. We want to turn people's dreams into an address. If that's our mission and what we're looking to do is to create legacies for people, I understand that if we do that, we will also be successful. So we don't focus on our outcomes. We focus on the outcomes of our clients and the relationship, because that's what we know is going to carry us forward way past into the future. And again, we're in a profession, good or bad, whether you look at this how you look at this, it depends, but 90% of agents fail. But that's the paradigm that we're shifting at 194. You won't come into our company and find out that 90% of our agents fail. You're going to find the opposite, that 90% of our agents are succeeding, if not more. Because the approach, it's all about the approach. It's all about relationships. It's all about building rapport with people. And it's all about creating relationships that truly benefit both parties. Like I said, that accountability is super important. So, we really stress that in the company. When we have our trainings for our agents, a lot of companies are training on, a lot of the hows within real estate, a lot of the specifics. And for me, those specifics are important. But what's most important is learning how to create relationships, build rapport, and how to have strategic partnerships with people in integrity that help other people. That's the goal for us. So it's to help. The more yeses we get, the more impact we have, the bigger the communities we can build.
I believe that H word, man, helping, is a very big thing. That's why, I'm in the insurance world, but I don't really, when people ask, what do I do? They're always like, you're the connection machine. And I say, yeah, AKA the insurance doctor, because I could help you with other facets as well. I'm a resource for others. And I also tell agents out there that are watching that you should be that resource. You should have a relationship with insurance, mortgage person, attorneys, home inspectors, carpenters, dumpster guys, whatever. So you have your circle that grows. And that is the one that we're all helping each other. And we're not looking for a commission check right off the bat. And that's the end result for an agent or a mortgage person, et cetera. But it's something that is not what you should be thinking about. It should be making sure it's as smooth as possible. Right now, I know transactions are really getting messed up. A lot of things are happening. Sometimes it's the sellers, like we talk about. Sometimes there's an inspection issue that comes up, clearing title, all these things that have to be taken care of. If people started their job and did their job early on in the process, it would be smooth. But people drop the ball. So that's why it's important to have those relationships so that you're going to have things close on time. So people are happy. That's what we need to have, is happy clients. That's how you get more. You don't have to worry about marketing. If you are doing your job, you're servicing people, it comes back to you because they want to help you because you help them.
Yeah, people definitely help the people that help them, and they enjoy helping people that help them. So if you go in with that mindset where you're looking to serve and you're truly looking to serve the outcome of the person that you're helping, it does help a lot, 100%. And having that team around you is incredibly important.
And with your team, you like to educate them on the process of relationship building, how to make calls, I'm sure, prospecting, things like that. It's important that you have that education. And why did you start doing that? Because I know there's some companies, and you're 194 real estate. It's not a Keller Williams, a Weichert, or something like that. You are your own niche, I would say, that you put yourself out there. What made you want to do that?
So that comes from, that's a great question. And I don't know if we have the time on this live to cover that. What made me do it? My why. Let me go a little further back. So I have a few different reasons why I do things. But what I will say is I used to own a Verizon wireless store. And again, we won't go into the full story about the Verizon wireless store, but it was my own store. I owned it, but I worked for a corporate entity. And as much as I wanted to say it was my store, which it was, I had to do what they felt was right. And I didn't always align with what they felt was right. So leaving the Verizon world, we sold our store in 2018. We actually became the managers of the New Milford office for Venture Realtors in New Milford. And then we decided at that point that it was time to branch out again. We had only been out of our business. We had sold it and only been out of it for a year, and got the itch again to get back into business ownership. Business ownership. And for me, it's about, it's not ego. And I always want to make sure that I'm checking that I'm not doing what I'm doing because I want it to be mine. I'm doing what I'm doing because I feel incredibly strong about the talents that we have and what we're able to give to our agents. And again, having the background from Verizon, maybe a little scorn from the corporate lifestyle, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted to have the control of our office at our hands. What I will say is over the last 24 months, let's say, prior to Corona, COVID for us was, and there hasn't been many lives like this where we go back into COVID talk, but like the COVID thing for us really was an accelerant, not just for the business. I get it that real estate in general was accelerated during COVID. We've done more business, but we were just as busy with clients prior to COVID because of relationships. What's accelerated since then now is the focus on making sure that those relationships not only are nurtured and cultivated, but that new ones. We tell one of the things I like end it with every call. We have a huddle every morning, Monday through Friday for my team. And I end it with intentionally talk to someone new today, intentionally. An avatar that's intentional, someone that fits who you're looking to do business with, but someone you haven't talked to before. If you do that every day, and one is a very small request, but if you talk to one avatar a day, an attorney, a divorce attorney, a mortgage broker, a Sean Zium connection machine, a for sale by owner, a list pendant, somebody that fits the avatar of who you're looking to do business with in the future. Talk to one new person a day, and I promise that is the secret of continuing to grow business. And and it's not just talking to those people, connecting, building a relationship, and adding value to them, while in turn adding value to yourself. So we go with that a lot. Things like this, Sean, this is an experience. This brings value not to me, not just to me, not just to you, but to everybody watching. And I know we'll go into a deeper dive with some of these topics that we talked about, but I think the main takeaway for me, if you ask me what are the most important things right now as a buyer's agent or a buyer looking for a buyer's agent, you got to feel it. When you meet that real estate agent, don't go solely because someone else told you that this person was great. You gotta do your due diligence. Don't just interview one. Interview a couple. Interview a couple, and then pick from there which felt the best, which one had the best plan. Ask them what their strategy is on marketing if you're listening. Ask them what their success rate is with buyers. Ask them how many deals they have going on right now. Ask them how many deals they have done in the past. Like, these things are important. They're not everything, but they're important. But realistic, but mainly you got to feel it. Real estate's a feeling. So if you feel a connection with somebody and you feel that they can do the job and you see your future in them, I would go ahead and go through with that. That's number one, that relationship. Number two is that track record of saying, hey, I have some proven experience of I've done this for people and it's worked. We've made these offers for people and it's worked. We've had this appraisal contingency and it worked. All the little tips and tricks that you can do. This is what, as a potential buyer, you should be asking to make sure that you're getting the right buyer's agent as well. And that's, I would say, the biggest thing. It's the relationship, it's the structure of the deal, and it's also the relationship between that realtor and the realtors moving forward.
Well said. I'm putting your contact information up there just so people have it, and I want to make sure that those that are watching, please drop a comment if there's things that are in the process that you want to learn about. This is what we're doing this for. So you're going to see, right now it's just me and Jay. There's going to be others that are going to be in this conversation in the next number of weeks. You're going to see mortgage professionals, attorneys. You're going to see a home inspector. Maybe we get a couple contractors, which is very tough to get because they're always working. They don't understand social media. I'm telling you, a lot of them don't understand it. And if you're watching, you need to use social media. But we'll have other people that you should have in your corner so that we can all have a successful transaction, because that's the goal for every single one of you, is to be a homeowner and then start becoming, maybe you might be an investor. You might want to do that down the road, because there's people that have, in the investor world, they'll say they have so many doors, and that's a goal that could be had. And if you're an agent out there, you should be investing as well. You should have your first home, and you should be putting your money out there to make it work. So we're hoping that you gain some value today. Jay, I appreciate you, man. It was awesome. Good time. If people have questions, again, drop them in the comments. Share this live out to others so that we can help educate others. And tune into the next one. You'll see some flyers with some other familiar faces, and we'll be in touch. Jay, have an awesome day, man.
Sean, thank you. And thank you, everybody out there. And I'll talk to you soon.